Why so different? Why American and European vehicles differ so much? There are significant differences between American and European semi-trucks. In America, all trucks have a long wheelbase and nose, with the cabin behind the engine, whereas in Europe, trucks are cab-over trucks, with the cabin above the engine. But why are they so different, and what are the benefits and drawbacks? Let's examine it. Livable: the fact that owner-operators are more prevalent in the U.S. than in Europe is one of the reasons why American trucks have larger cabs. These individuals own their trucks and often reside in them for months at a time due to the amount of time they spend there. Some of them are required to live in the cabin, which is larger and has more amenities. Large living compartments, which are uncommon in Europe, are added to trucks by their owners. Of course, it is also possible to spend several days in a truck with a cab over, but the comfort level is just not as high. Other amenities include a refrigerator, microwave, freezer, wardrobe, large bed windows, and some even have their own toilet. Long, wide roads, since American trucks are permitted to drive for up to 12 hours every 24 hours, while European truckers are only permitted to drive for 9 hours. The long wheelbase of the truck is acceptable and usually results in a much more comfortable ride because a large portion of an American truck's life is spent on the interstate system, where the lanes are wide and the roads are straight. European semi-trucks are much easier to maneuver due to their lighter weight and shorter wheelbases. In other words, they are more compact and easier to work with in urban and traffic situations, which is ideal for Europe's narrow roads. Additionally, the cab-over has a better overview and fewer blind spots, which significantly improves safety, whereas American trucks, larger bonnets and pillars make it difficult for drivers to see traffic clearly. Strict regulations. Trucks in Europe are different because of tougher laws. To begin, a European semi-truck can only exceed 18.75 meters, or roughly 61 feet, in length. There are few exceptions, but generally speaking, this is the rule. Because American cabs can only be 20 feet long, leaving 40 feet of space for goods, European trucks must be as short as possible to tow more cargo. A shorter cab will allow for greater space for cargo. In fact, cab-over trucks were rather common in the U.S. back in the day, but without stringent restrictions, traditional design, vehicles were more roomy and more practical to live in. Similar regulations were repealed in the U.S. in 1986, and trucks can now be much longer. Speed and aerodynamics. One significant distinction between European and American semi-trucks is that while trucks are permitted to travel up to 90 kilometers per hour in Europe, in some locations in the United States, they can reach 129 or even 137 kilometers per hour. This is because long-nosed trucks, which are designed for lengthy journeys, have superior aerodynamics and longer wheelbases. Conclusion: Therefore, the reason for the significant difference between trucks in Europe and America is that they are used differently, have different regulations that must be followed regarding speed, driving distance, weight, etc., and have very different roads and infrastructure. As a result, neither is necessarily superior to the other. Rather, they are tailored to the demands of truck owners, drivers, and government regulations. Which do you prefer? Thank you for viewing, and don't forget to subscribe for more.